Hi, my name is Neil. Today we're going to look at this Buell 2003 and do a catch can mod and an Airbox filter mod. It's actually from Dan. Dan's got a nice little kit right here that includes some goodies. Let's take a look at what he's got. This is for the catch can. This is the new custom Airbox or air mod that we're going to be installing. Right here. Here's a catch can breather. Looks like some zip ties and some bolts. So there's some good stuff in this box. In any case, we're going to essentially take all this stuff off and we're going to replace this Airbox right here. One thing I can show you actually is down in here, you can see that I've got a super boot already installed. So we're going to go ahead and leverage that as well and have a complete system. In any case, let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is take off this tank and the seat. There's a little latch back here. We're going to pump the seat off. You're also going to want to undo this oil cap, which kind of locks it in. And just make sure you got that there. Pull this little ring out. There's an oil ring that goes with it. It's kind of easy to get lost. Next thing you're going to want to do is take care of the fuel. Now, on this side, which you can't really see, there's going to be a screw. Looks like a flathead, and it's just below the fuel. Now when you undo this fuel line, you're actually going to get some gas dripping. You're going to want to make sure you catch this gas with something. In this case, we are just going to catch it with some paper towel. The bucket's always nice. We can always use that. Alright, that's good. Got to clean that off. Alright, now that you got your fuel line down, essentially you want to resume with the rest of those bolts. Alright, the next thing you want to do is, you'll notice that this gas tank, it's locked in by these two rubber kind of stoppers, if you will. Well, I happen to have a mallet. Mallets are good. I don't even know why I have it, but I do. So you'll want to go from this angle. And a good suggestion is to turn this handlebar because sometimes you'll bang into the electronics right here and you don't want to do that. So just pivot this so you can give it a couple of taps. And these things just pop right off. So do this on the other side as well. There we go. Just like. Now, what you got here is your tank, and this tank, the way it's kind of wedged in, is it doesn't want to come out too easily. So one of the things I figured out is go ahead and just put this screwdriver. Another way you could do it is like this. There you go. Now that you got that out, you've got your tank. The main thing is just to keep it off the switch. However you want to do that. You don't want to put pressure on it. Now you've got your frame. Now, a good thing to do at this point is to put your oil cap back on. This Airbox is in by some pins. You put these pins, kind of a pain in the ass. But what's kind of nice is we won't ever have to deal with these guys ever again after this, which is cool. And don't forget, down here, there's a little screw. So no matter what you try and do, it's not going to come out unless you use a Phillips. You got this little guy. He's out. And here's the air filter. We're essentially going to be replacing this. Carburetor. So you're going to have this catch. You want to pull that out. And you'll notice there's going to be some Allens. There's 3 Allens right here. I'm going to go ahead and unscrew those real quick. once we pull this bad boy out, you'll notice that it's connected in this back part with some hoses. So these hoses come out, you just yank them a little bit. Now you've got this hose over here, disconnected from here, which allows it to come out. That's your airbox. That's the part we're getting rid of. In any case, you'll notice that there's a gasket right here. And in Dan's kit, he actually gives you a new one, which is nice. So that's what we're going to be putting on this. So this part, essentially, my estimation, is going to go something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up. I'm going to go ahead and get this gasket on. Pull this out. I'm going to keep this on here, maybe put this on like so. We can kind of test fit and see that, that's probably an inch right there, so probably needs not go more than that. Which should be good because it should be clearing all of this, so that kind of makes sense. Let's go ahead and get that on. Alright, now, is it touching in the air? No, it looks pretty good. It's got good distance. I think it's looking pretty solid. Okay, so this catch can, it's basically taking the oil out of the top of this mount right here, and it's going to run this cord. So this cord's already in place, and it comes down, comes through the back. And if you remember in the beginning, when I was talking about unplugging that hose, that's what this is. So it really looks like it just spits it back through the carb, I guess. So in any case, Dan's given this part, and this part's going to sit on the frame, and it's going to basically be the new routing. Cool thing about this catch can that Dan's made is that it fits in the same sort of bolt pattern right here. You'll see that it screws in right there, screws in right there. So this thing just sits nicely right there, and it's got two ends. So our goal really is to reroute the hoses to go in through there and then out through there. Now what Dan's done is he's given a few extra zip ties. I think what you're going to want to do is clip them, because you're going to put them back. So the first one we'll clip will be this guy right here. This guy's holding on to a hose that we're going to need access to. Go ahead and clip that. And as this comes down, we'll notice that there's another hose down over here that needs to be clipped, or another zip tie rather, that needs to be clipped over here on this side as well. Alright, there we go. So we took that out. Now you've got your hose. And your hose essentially is a two-part hose. Now, I'll go ahead and film on this side so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But essentially, this hose is a routing right here. So we're going to have to pull this slack down, as you can see. And this is the connector part over, where is it? Right here. You can see that there's a couple connectors going on. And those two connectors, there's one here, and there's one there. We're going to pull this whole part, pull this whole thing apart. So let's go ahead and do that. And the best way to do that, I'm assuming, if I had to guess, maybe take a screwdriver, we'll pry that thing apart. Some leverage. There we go. Alright, so now we'll route this hose through, and that's this hose right here. Now, this part actually just goes into the engine. You can see that it's pretty deep. All we really need to do is keep it in there still, but we just need to rotate its position. So as we rotate it, we'll get more of this hose, and this hose will make it down here now. And what Dan's saying is just kind of route it so it keeps on the engine. It keeps on the frame and makes its way down. There's another hose over here. It's this one. There's two of them. It's two stopper ends. So essentially this hose, now that you've disconnected it, you're actually just going to pull this out. So let's see if I can do this while we're holding on. Go ahead and just pull this, keep pulling, and then voila, this thing is out. Now, once you've got this out, you've essentially still got the old plate here too, which is this like blocker kind of thing. You can remove that a little bit later, deal with that in a second. This catch can actually has two directions. And what you want to do is take the higher direction, which is this one, and make sure it's facing forward. And you want the lower direction to face, or the back half version to face down. The reason why is this thing can sit both ways. It can sit this way and you can bolt it on and you'll be like, oh, okay, that fits good, but then you'll realize that this hose is going to run into this part right here. So you actually want to make sure it's the other way around. So you're going to put it down here. And what that lets you know is that it's going to exit down in this little area, which means you need that hose to be in that area. Well, that's kind of a tricky thing to feed it through, so my suggestion is you go through and you feed it through this way first. See if you can kind of get it through there. And because you've left this tip on, maybe you shouldn't take it off. You've got this tip right now and you've routed it. And the trick here is to make sure that you put it behind this hose. So now it's going to route nicely. Now the next routing is that it's got to go down here. So you got to shove it if you can. Try and get this guy to go down. It might be a little hard. You might want to pull a little bit of slack so you can get a good loop. Go ahead and route this guy down this direction. And the reason why is because its new location is going to be right here. This is actually how you want it. You want it facing out like that. Now that you've got this hose sort of routed correctly over here, you can pull the slack out. Bam! You've got basically this hose. It's a little tight, but it's not pinched. It's able to do its job still. You've got it coming out, and now you've got it routed down here. And according to Dan's instructions, which you can see right here, he's got his little nipple thing just barely poking out, which is kind of the same thing. I might pull up a little bit just to kind of have it clean, but for the most part, that pretty much looks right. So we've got that. That's kind of routed pretty good. We'll go ahead and zip tie this, tighten the noose, as you will. A little bit more. Should be good. And we're going to want to make sure that this hose stays off the heat manifold. Obviously, you don't want to burn that hose out. So just make sure when you're doing the zip tie, you can kind of keep that in mind. You want this to kind of freely come down here, which it is. Now you know your catch can is good to go. Now, catch can also comes with this air filter part. So obviously, you know, we're going to go ahead and pop this bad boy on. And for those of you that are, you know, racing sticker fans, you know, just figure out a place to put that sticker. Now, this air filter doesn't come with instructions. I know this red stuff goes on here, but I'm not sure how. My guess is that you crack this thing open and then you just let it drip all the way through here. That's my assumption. It doesn't really tell you on the back, but it shouldn't be too hard to figure out. The fact that this one's red and this one's not kind of makes it obvious. And then this guy is just going to pop in. Literally, you guys can see it right here. It's just going to pop in right here like so. And so what you got is you're going to have a little air filter coming through. And there's also a little metal bracket right here. I'm pointing at it. You want to make sure you spin it down just for cosmetic looks. So I've never really done this before, but I'm assuming this is the right thing to do. So we've got this catch can air filter. It's oiled up. And I'm going to unplug the hose in the front because I feel like this is kind of vacuum based. And I don't want all that oil coming out. Let's go and put that back in now. All right. Fuel's on. Let's go to start. that's it. Catch can's in, oil filter's in. Looks like we're good to go. I'm going to start riding this thing around. Hopefully my friend Geneva is stoked on this. It's her bike. Yeah. Thanks for watching.